world you see is a mask. Every street, every office, every flickering screen, every smile you meet, each one is layered, curated, designed to perform. And somewhere in the quiet, beneath the noise, beneath the applause, beneath the judgment of others and the relentless echo of expectation, there is a voice that whispers, a voice that asks, who are you really? Beneath all the roles, all the compromises, all the survival strategies, who is it that moves, breathes, suffers, dreams, and rejoices in the rawness of existence? You have learned to answer the world before you answer yourself. You have trained your face to reflect approval, your mind to navigate consequence, your body to respond to external signals rather than internal truths. And yet, this carefully constructed edifice, the polished self, the performative identity cracks when night falls. When silence presses against your skull and the conversations stop, when the notifications end and the applause fades, what remains? What remains is you, stripped bare. Finding your true self is not a gentle journey. It is a descent, a journey into the labyrinth where your unconscious has left fragments of your soul scattered like broken mirrors. Carl Jung called it individuation, the process of reconciling the conscious self with the shadow, the integrating of the archetypes that live deep within you. But this is not a philosophical exercise. This is the excavation of your life, the unearthing of the buried, the confrontation with the parts you have refused to see, the anger, the fear, the jealousy, the lust, the pain, the longing. You will see yourself in your contradictions. You will feel the raw, unprocessed grief you have stored. You will confront the illusions you have built to survive, the lies you tell others, the lies you tell yourself. Nietzsche said, "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. To meet your true self, you must fight the monsters inside you. And in doing so, you will understand the genesis of every illusion you have clung to." The first step is awareness. Awareness is not a soft, fleeting acknowledgement. It is a burning light that pierces the darkness of self-deception. It is staring at your reflection in the mirror and naming everything you see, unflinching, without apology. The fear of being seen is powerful. The temptation to turn away, to avoid the mirror, is immense. But in that reflection lies the seed of liberation, because you cannot build a life on borrowed shapes. You cannot speak with the voice of another and call it your own. Once you begin this awareness, the second step is acceptance. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is the courage to see yourself fully and say, I am here, I am flawed, I am incomplete, I am more than I have allowed myself to be. You will meet the versions of yourself that disappointed you, that terrified you, that you hoped the world would never see. And in accepting them, you reclaim your power. You reclaim ownership over your life. The next step is discipline, not the discipline of societal expectation, not the discipline of competition, not the discipline of external approval, but the discipline of self-mastery. Discipline is the forging of your mind and spirit so that your actions are not mere reactions, but deliberate expressions of who you are. A disciplined man or woman does not chase fleeting desire. A disciplined soul does not bend to fear. Discipline is the bridge between awareness and action, between shadow and light, between what is and what could be. Vision comes next. Your vision is the architecture of your soul. It is not a goal imposed by culture or circumstance. It is a truth you feel before it becomes real. Vision is seeing beyond the ephemeral. Vision is imagining not who you are told to be, but who you must become to walk in your own authenticity. History is littered with men and women who ignored their inner vision and traded it for comfort, for recognition, for safety, and history remembers them as echoes, not as forces. You must see with clarity the life that only you can live, the impact that only your singular essence can bring to the world. Belief, then, follows vision. But belief is not the belief in something external. Belief is trust in yourself, Trust in your capacity to endure, to grow, to create, to love. The world will offer doubt. The world will offer betrayal. The world will tempt you to despair. Belief in yourself is the anchor that keeps you grounded amidst the storm. Nietzsche wrote, "Become who you are." And this becoming requires a faith that the fire of your soul is sufficient to burn through the shadows, to light the path forward, and to illuminate the corners of your mind that have been abandoned. You will learn gratitude not as a polite custom, but as a profound recognition of life's relentless teaching. Gratitude is seeing the beauty in struggle, the gift in pain, the lesson in failure. It is standing on the ruins of disappointment and acknowledging the strength that has grown from decay. It is saying without shame, "I am here, I am alive, I am enough." Adaptability and resilience will shape your journey. The true self is not rigid. It bends, it shifts, it grows without losing its core. Like a river that carves through mountains over millennia, the soul that seeks authenticity finds its path not by avoiding obstacles, but by flowing through them, reshaping itself in response to reality while retaining its essence. Resilience is not enduring for the sake of survival. Resilience is the conscious expansion of your capacity to thrive despite any force that seeks to diminish you. Learning is continuous. The self is not a destination. It is a process. Every encounter, every book, every mistake, every moment of triumph and shame is a teacher. Aldous Huxley warned against the mind enslaved by trivialities. Today, we are prisoners of distraction, of superficial connection, of endless comparison. To find your true self, you must relearn the art of attention. You must consume knowledge, cultivate wisdom, and integrate every lesson into the architecture of your being. The path to the true self is solitary, but it is not lonely. You will find companions in the echoes of great thinkers, in the voices of those who dared to see deeply, in the wisdom of the ancients and the courage of the modern. You will encounter others who seek the same awakening, but your journey cannot be lived through anyone else's map. You are the cartographer of your own soul. You are the alchemist of your own transformation. And when you reach the precipice, the moment where the mirror finally reflects not the fragments, but the whole, you will feel an unshakable certainty. Not arrogance, not hubris, not the fragile pride of achievement, but the calm, radiant power of self-possession. You will walk in the world not as a shadow of expectation, not as a reflection of fear, but as a singular, unrepeatable expression of life itself. You will know, with every fiber of your being, that your authenticity is your liberation, that the mask you once wore is no longer needed, that your power lies not in hiding, not in performing, not in seeking permission, but in being utterly, uncompromisingly yourself. And in this knowing, every moment becomes sacred, every action becomes a declaration, every breath affirms that you have arrived not at a place in the world, but in the home of your own soul. You have found your true self. You have returned from the labyrinth of illusions. You are whole, you are free, and you are unstoppable. The world may still roar, chaos may still knock at your door, people may still attempt to sway, to manipulate, to wound, but you now carry the immovable, luminous truth within you. You are not defined by others, not confined by circumstance, not diminished by fear. You are a sovereign being of immense depth, of infinite potential, of undeniable presence. And from this place, from this center, from this unshakable core of authenticity, you step forward into the world, not seeking approval, not chasing validation, not hiding from truth, but embodying it, radiating it, living it. You have arrived at the threshold of your life, fully claimed, fully awake, fully realized. You are the culmination of your choices, your struggles, your awakenings, your shadows, and your light. You are the unbroken, untamed, undeniable force of existence that the universe itself bows to in silence. You have found your true self, and nothing will ever obscure it again. The world outside still hums with distractions, illusions, and demands, But now you walk through it carrying the gravity of your own essence. You understand that most of what people chase, status, approval, fleeting pleasures, is not the measure of life. Life is measured in depth. Life is measured in confrontation with the self. Life is measured in the courage to face your own chaos and still rise. And the truth is this: until you do, until you meet your shadows and embrace them, until you understand the architecture of your own mind, no external triumph can satisfy you. No applause can fill the void that has always existed beneath the surface of your carefully performed life. Your true self is forged in the fire of confrontation. It is shaped by the moments where you have looked into the abyss and refused to turn away. It is the accumulation of all the nights you spent in silence, thinking, feeling, wrestling with the parts of yourself that society told you to ignore. Every lie you believed about yourself, every fear you tried to suppress, every longing you denied, they have been instruments in the symphony of your becoming. And now, when you stand at the edge, you begin to see the music they were composing, a composition only you could play, a melody only your soul could sing. Understand that the journey is not linear. It will not follow a neat timeline. It will not be polite. It will not be convenient. It will not submit to expectation. There will be days when the old habits, the old patterns, the old voices scream at you, insisting that you return to the familiar. But you have tasted authenticity, and familiarity will never suffice again. You will recognize the difference immediately. The familiar is comfortable. The true is vital. The familiar may lull you, but it will never make you alive. And being alive, truly alive, is the only currency that matters. You must cultivate the courage to stand in truth, even when it isolates you. Jung warned that the road to individuation is often lonely, because the world does not reward authenticity, it rewards conformity. And so you will feel the subtle pressures, the invisible chains of expectation, the whisper of doubt from those around you who are not yet ready to see themselves. But you will not bend, you will not shrink. You will not exchange the radiant weight of your own truth for the shallow approval of others. For when you do, you become untouchable. Not untouchable in arrogance, but untouchable in the clarity of your sovereignty. The disciplines you have cultivated, clarity, focus, resilience, and self-mastery, will now serve a higher purpose. They are no longer mere tools for survival. They are instruments of self-expression. Every action, every decision, every interaction will reflect the core of your being. You will no longer act from fear, from desire to please, from compulsion or habit. You will act because it aligns with the deep, unshakable truth of who you are. This is the power of living authentically. Every moment becomes a choice. Every choice becomes an act of creation. And every act becomes a testament to your sovereignty. You will begin to recognize the illusions around you with startling clarity. The manipulations, the distractions, the false promises, they will be visible to you in ways they never were before. Where once you may have been naive, confused, or entangled in webs of deceit, now you move with discernment. Not judgment, not arrogance, but precision. You see the currents beneath the surface, and you navigate them without losing your balance. You move through the world like water over stone, shaping reality not by force, but by alignment with the flow of truth that begins within you. And in this alignment, you will discover freedom unlike any you have known. Freedom from the chains of expectation, freedom from the tyranny of opinion, freedom from the cycles of fear and doubt. Freedom from the internalized voices of those who sought to define you. The moment you embrace your true self fully, the world's attempts to wound, manipulate, or distract you lose their power. Because no external force can touch the foundation of a soul that is grounded in authenticity, that is tempered in shadow, that is being tested in the crucible of inner confrontation. You will also recognize that love itself changes. Not the shallow love of need, not the conditional love of expectation, not the transactional bonds of comfort, but love as force, love as recognition, love as integration. You will attract people not by the persona you once wore, but by the radiance of the self you have reclaimed. Those who belong in your life will resonate with the depth you have uncovered. Those who do not will fall away without resistance, and you will feel neither grief nor guilt. You will simply observe, simply honor the necessity of alignment. For love, like life, cannot be forced. It can only be reflected truthfully and received fully. Every challenge you face from this point onward is transformed. Misfortune is no longer punishment. It is lesson. Failure is no longer shame. It is feedback. Conflict is no longer threat. It is revelation. The world will continue to test you, but now you carry the compass of your inner truth, and nothing can mislead you. Like the philosophers of old, you will cultivate an inner citadel, a mental and spiritual stronghold, impervious to the storms that rage outside. And from within this citadel, you will act, not react, and shape your destiny with intention rather than desperation. And finally, you will realize that the true self is not something to find once and keep. It is a living, breathing entity, evolving and expanding with every thought, every experience, every choice. It is an endless journey, a continuous process of becoming. And yet, paradoxically, it is also complete in every moment. You are whole even as you grow. You are enough even as you change. You are sovereign even amidst chaos. The liberation you have claimed is not for spectacle, not for recognition, not for temporary thrill. It is eternal in its essence. It radiates outward, shaping your relationships, your creations, your contributions, and your very presence. You become a force of clarity, a vector of truth, a living testament that a human being can rise above fear, above illusion, above the shallow confines of external expectation, and embody the full spectrum of their potential. This is the power of finding your true self. It is the alchemy of the soul, the victory over illusion, the liberation from both inner and outer tyranny. It is the assertion of your life as art, your consciousness as authority, your existence as undeniable force. Nothing and nobody can touch you, because your essence is untouchable, your truth is unassailable, your presence is immortal in the only way that matters. In the world you shape by being fully, unapologetically yourself. And now, standing in this radiance of self-possession, you begin to see the mechanisms that once bound you. You recognize the subtle traps of society, the invisible hierarchies, the scripted performances everyone around you seems to be rehearsing endlessly. You understand how the world has long sold you illusions of worth, success, wealth, beauty, influence, but none of them can nourish the soul. You see the hollowness of these pursuits because you have walked inside yourself, where emptiness cannot hide behind a mask, and in this clarity you discover the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose what truly serves you, the freedom to discard what is false, the freedom to become a creator in your own right rather than a consumer of others' narratives. No longer do you seek validation from the ephemeral gaze of the world. You do not need applause to justify your existence, nor approval to affirm your value. That hunger has been replaced with understanding. That craving has been replaced with sovereignty. And you move through life with a new energy one that commands attention not through noise or desperation, but through quiet intensity. People are drawn to it instinctively, not because you seek their devotion, but because authenticity has a magnetic field that no pretense can replicate. The shadows that once terrified you, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of being alone, now serve as guides. Every fear contains a kernel of insight, a lesson, a key. You have learned that running from shadows only empowers them. Facing them transforms them. This is the alchemy that Carl Jung described, turning suffering into wisdom, pain into knowledge, chaos into order. And as you practice this daily, life itself becomes a mirror, reflecting back your inner mastery. Obstacles are no longer walls, but thresholds, each demanding courage, demanding truth, demanding presence. Discipline now takes on a sacred quality. It is no longer a chore or a burden. It is the act of aligning with your essence, the ceremony through which the potential of your soul manifests in the material world. Each decision to cultivate focus, to resist distraction, to uphold your values, is a vote for the self you are becoming. And through this continuous, almost ritualistic engagement with life, you build a structure around your freedom, a framework so resilient that the chaos outside cannot shake it. Your mind becomes a citadel, your heart becomes a compass, and your spirit becomes an unyielding force of nature. And in the midst of this, gratitude blooms not as sentimentality, not as politeness, not as a social performance, but as deep recognition of the immense complexity of existence, of the interplay of light and dark, of joy and sorrow, of triumph and trial. Gratitude becomes a lens, transforming even suffering into revelation. It is in this gratitude that you find resilience, for it reminds you that every experience, every person, every event has served the purpose of awakening you to yourself. Nothing has been wasted, nothing has been meaningless, and you move forward, carrying the weight of understanding that life itself is a sacred teacher, harsh, yet infinitely generous. Adaptability becomes a superpower. The world will always shift, always challenge, always attempt to unmoor you. But you have anchored yourself in something far more stable than circumstance, in the truth of your being. And from that center, you can bend without breaking, flow without losing shape, and act without compromise. You are not rigid. You are alive, fluid, responsive, yet unshakable in the core of who you are. Every challenge is now an opportunity to test the depth of your alignment, every trial a reflection of your capacity to remain sovereign under pressure. Learning becomes sacred, continuous, insatiable. You understand that knowledge without reflection is shallow, power without wisdom is destructive, and skill without understanding is blind. And so you study the patterns of human behavior, the history of civilizations, the workings of your own mind and heart. You explore the philosophies of Nietzsche, the strategies of Machiavelli, the foresight of Aldous Huxley, not to mimic, but to illuminate, to contextualize, to integrate. You build a framework of understanding so wide and so deep that you navigate life with insight rather than guesswork, with strategy rather than impulse, with vision rather than reaction. In this state, you are no longer vulnerable in the ways the world once dictated. Emotional attacks, manipulation, betrayal, they touch the surface, but the depths of your being remain untouched. You have fortified yourself with clarity, wisdom, and self-respect. And from this invulnerability arises a profound empowerment. You act not from fear, not from ego, not from the need to control, but from mastery. You command your life not by dominating others, but by commanding yourself. And the difference is seismic. The world notices, even if it cannot articulate why. The culmination of this journey is not a destination, but a realization. You are the architect of your reality, the alchemist of your experience, the sovereign of your destiny. You have learned to transmute pain into insight, fear into courage, confusion into clarity, distraction into focus, longing into purpose. You have learned to embrace the full spectrum of your humanity while remaining anchored in the unshakable foundation of your true self. And in this realization, there is a peace so profound, a power so undeniable, a presence so magnetic that the world cannot help but respond. Your life becomes a testament, a living proof that nothing and nobody can ever hurt you again, not because you are invincible, but because you have become whole. Not because you are untouched, but because you have touched every part of yourself, every shadow, every fracture, every longing, and transformed it into strength. And as you move forward, fully awake, fully sovereign, fully alive, you carry the eternal knowledge that the only power worth seeking, the only freedom worth having, is the freedom of the self, the sovereignty of the soul, the mastery of your own existence. This is your emergence. This is your reclamation. This is the moment where you step into the totality of yourself, not as a shadow of potential, but as the realized force of being. The world may rage, time may challenge, chaos may attempt to intrude, but within you burns a light no darkness can dim. You are awake, you are sovereign, you are untouchable, and you move forward, not in fear, not in doubt, but in the relentless, radiant power of a self fully, irrevocably, undeniably alive. And now, as the final threads of doubt, fear, and hesitation dissolve into the clarity of your own presence, you stand fully in yourself, whole, sovereign, unshakable. You realize that the world can no longer dictate your value, your emotions, your path. Every wound has become wisdom, every trial a testament, every shadow a guide. You are no longer running from pain. You are no longer seeking approval. You have entered the domain of the self, where true power resides, where freedom is absolute, where nothing and nobody can ever touch the core of your being. Breathe and feel it. The strength, the peace, the quiet ferocity of a life reclaimed. The storms may rage outside, but inside you are a fortress. The voices of doubt may whisper, but inside you have the final word. And in this moment, the moment that is always now, you know the ultimate truth. You are whole, you are free, you are untouchable. You are the living embodiment of your own highest potential, and nothing, no one will ever take that from you again. This is your awakening, this is your triumph, this is your life, fully, brilliantly, and unapologetically lived.